Hello, welcome to 15 Minutes of Consulting Best Practices. My name is Maria Isabel Rios, and welcome back, David. David A. Fields is here.
Hello, Maria Isabel. And look, I'm actually, after 7 months, back in my own office. Though
Well, welcome back.
not fully back, but mostly back. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. As you know, this is a space where we answer questions that have been submitted or are submitted live about how to grow and how to create success for your consulting firm, whether you're a solo practice or a boutique, and where we encourage the input of those who are live or those who come in after in the conversation, right? Every comment and every perspective enriches the discussion. So let's start. Let's dive right in. Jaren, if you can, please share the first question that was submitted to us. Thank you. All right. So first question is from Joseph, and it's for you, David. Okay. Joseph said, we have a prospect that is very enthusiastic and likes to spend lots of time in friendly conversation, oftentimes looking for us to problem solve together. For this project, we've had a few hours of conversation, and they're still wanting to talk about the different aspects of the goings on and pick our brains. How do we move them from open discussion to actually talking about a potential project without damaging our relationship? All right, so very familiar situation, right? Lots of chit chat going on. Let's pick your brain. What do you think? Interesting conversation.
Yeah, what jumps out at me about that question, Maria Isabel, was Joseph said wants to problem solve together. So that's a little flag that's going up saying, wait a second, that's where you need to change things. But I would back up a step, because this is someone, it sounds like Joseph is having ongoing conversations with, and relationship nurturing conversations, typically anywhere from once a year, twice a year, maybe once a quarter. And they should be on the calendar and time bound, right? You get half an hour, maybe it's an hour that you typically wouldn't spend an hour every quarter. There is actually someone on our list who current client, but it took 8 years to become a client, and it was quarterly 1 hour conversation. So, that's okay. But what we weren't doing during those conversations was problem solving. And at a time when it says, hey, help me solve this problem, I think there are two things. One, if it's ongoing conversations and someone just keeps asking questions, at some point you say, look, you're asking the right questions. So let's create a relationship where our firm can help you. But if you're problem solving, you also at some point need to say, again, like it's great that you're turning to me as to answer these questions. But to be fair, this is what our firm gets paid to do, to answer these questions. And then so there's an important ask. Should we have a discussion around how we can work together?
Right.
To answer these sort of questions. And that's not going to damage the relationship. Especially, I would use the word fair. We get a lot of mileage out of that word. To be fair, this is what we do. So would it make sense for us to have a conversation about applying what we do to you? That's my initial thoughts. What do you think, Maria Isabel?
I'm completely with you. I think sometimes we sit in a place of fear where we're wondering whether we would have the person feel rejected or feel taken aback by asking for the business. But if it is a legitimate business, right? If we're in problem solving realm, it's also legitimate to ask for it. It almost sounds like it's on Joseph's court, given the way the conversation has evolved, to ask for the business, to say, look, it seems like there's more than a simple conversation here, right? Let's frame it as what it is. Let's problem solve together. Let's give us the space. Let's give us the challenge, and let's do it fairly, right, for all of us. Let's make sure we can devote ourselves to it.
Excellent. Exactly.
Hello, Chris. Thank you for chiming in. Right.
Yeah, and so Chris has chimed in. Thank you, Chris. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you folks for a while, so I want to hear from you. So whatever's on your mind, or if you have a question or something's going on you want to share, put it in the chat if you happen to be live today, so that we can respond to you. We get a chance to interact immediately. Until those questions pop up, Jaron, we must have more that were submitted.
Right.
So what do we have? I'll read this one so that you have to do it, Marie-Isabel.
All
Let's
right.
see. We seem to be ramping up our closed project rate, meaning we're probably going to hit 100% capacity in the next few weeks. Oh, okay. Well, congratulations.
Right.
It's great and also terrifying. Yeah, because it'll take us about 3 months before our newest recruits are ready. I can feel some of my colleagues starting to slow down on business development. I don't want to lose our momentum. What do we do now? Okay. This is
Ooh.
something we frequently encounter, Marie-Isabel. So what
It,
do you think about this?
it's something we frequently encounter because capacity confidence is a necessary element for business development success, right? And we often call it like step zero in the steps that are necessary to create success in business development. If you lack capacity confidence, then all the kind of wind goes out of your sails, right? You don't have what you need, and it eats at us, whether consciously or subconsciously. So good on you for identifying the waters are starting to get murky, perhaps a little later than we would want you to have identified this challenge in the process. So now you're sitting here, you're saying, look, we're about to reach 100%. What do you do? Couple parallel avenues because of timing. Right now, augment with subcontractors. That likely means you're going to lose on margin for a period of time. And that's okay, right? Because the trade off is margin versus momentum in business development. Oftentimes, we find it works in your favor. And David, you just lost your camera for a second.
We're back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
So it's worthwhile to lose on margin in most cases for a little bit by bringing in subcontractors than to lose the momentum in business development. So think shorter term, start augmenting with subcontractors. If you don't have a bench of subcontractors built in right now, make the effort, widen your bench of subcontractors so that at any given time you have more subcontractors on your bench that you envision needing, right? So you can activate them at moments like this. In parallel, the second avenue, keep recruiting. And keep recruiting because you know it takes you at least 3 months to train your folks so that they are able to deliver and they actually add to your capacity. So don't stop your recruitment efforts just because you're putting subcontractors into projects. Subcontractors, more likely than not, are a short-term solution for your firm. At least that's what it sounds from the message you sent us. So think about both avenues running in parallel. The other element I would add to this, and we talk about it explicitly, particularly with our boutique clients where there's multiple rainmakers, is have an explicit conversation among the rainmakers about how the fact that you're envisioning this capacity crunch could affect your confidence going into business development conversations and the expectation that people will not lose momentum. Because otherwise, you will find that people slow down or start really losing track of business development conversations. You pay for that dearly down the line. So it's better to have a very explicit conversation saying, we know we have this capacity crunch coming in. This is what we're going to do to address it. The ask of the team is that we keep going with business development and we don't slow down, and that you make that request very explicit. Those are my 3 thoughts around this question. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it. There's a capacity confidence issue, which we talk about a lot with our clients. I think it's always important to have surge capacity in place, and the time to build that is when you don't need it. Subcontractors or other firms There also, we won't get into it now, but there's some clever things you can do in your own contracting that can create capacity, give you a call option on capacity. But yeah, you need to make sure you always have capacity confidence, because you never want to slow down on the BD side. That's a surefire way to not win business when you need it.
Right. And to create that unreliability in your cycle, for sure.
Okay.
All right. We received a question via email that we didn't have time to put in. So I want to just read it. And David, you're going to take it on. So
go for it.
Question goes like this. It says, I have successfully secured a follow-up conversation with a prospective client. After using your clever question, would you be open to a separate conversation where we talk about your business and explore whether my firm can help you achieve your goals?
Okay.
I was introduced to him from a McKinsey alum. He is a senior VP of global operations for a multi-billion-dollar company based in Maine, where I have recently been making a concerted effort to build my network. All right. My question is, how do you suggest I structure the conversation? Should I simply follow your context discussion? Bless you. Fixed topics? This will be the first time I'm physically meeting him, and there's no identified project or need yet. I'm hoping this might make it to this week's LinkedIn Live, and it did. And thank you, Susan, for sending the question. All right. What do you say to Susan?
Okay, so you use the overture, what we call the overture. So there's no specific project in place. So you use the overture to ask whether it might be worth a conversation. And it sounds like they said, you said yes. And now you're going to meet in person. Okay, you 100% do not want to have a context discussion, or at least not go in with that in mind. So get that out of your head. You can only have a context discussion if there's a project to discuss. Right. So desired outcomes only make sense if there's you have a project on the table. So instead, your first thing you're going to do is you're going to use what we call right side up inquiry, which is how you start every conversation, even with a signed client. And that is with a really simple phrase. What will make this meeting or this conversation useful and valuable and helpful for you? Right, so you're gonna meet in person, a couple of pleasantries, and boy, we got a lot of snow, and et cetera, et cetera. And really appreciate that we had a chance to meet. Tell me what will make this useful and helpful and valuable for you. That will set the tone for the entire conversation, and then you'll follow where he goes. If he has a specific project in mind, if he says, "Look, there's some places I think you can help," then you'll note them all and what else. And you really at this point want to mostly keep the conversation general. But he says, we really have this culture issue, and I think you might be great at helping. So, okay, great. Is that something that'd be worth exploring right now? Do you want to dive into that a little bit more? Okay, we're asking permission. It's a little bit of a turn on the specific opportunity. And if he says yes, then you can roll into a context discussion. You can say, all right, let's dive in now. We'll do what I call a context discussion. We're going to cover these 6 topics. You go through, these are the 6 topics. That's what I was thinking. Does that make sense to you? He says, yes. Boom. But you don't go in trying to push a context discussion because you've got no project.
Right.
What did I miss, Isabel?
I think I heard you say 2 things. Number 1 is, well, actually 3. Going broadly, right? Don't assume there's a specific project yet, because there isn't. So you're not going to dive into the details of a project that you don't know what it is yet. First thing I heard you say. The second thing I heard you say is, as opportunities are coming up, make sure you ask what else and take note of every opportunity before you jump into one. And then make the turn and ask if now it's a good time to explore a specific opportunity, and then dive into the context discussion for that particular opportunity. All right. So those are the 3 things in a kind of a summarized way.
Thank you. Thank you for summarizing. And look at that. And we're at the bottom of the hour, or bottom of the half hour. We're out of our 15 minutes. Marisabel, it was great spending 15 minutes with you and chatting. For those of you who are here live, thank you for coming. And those in replay, thank you for coming on replay. A couple quick things before you go. Do make sure you come back. Come join us every Monday. We love to see you. And you get here by, Jaron put it up here, Monday Live, davidafields.com Monday Live. Just put it in your calendar. And that way you don't forget and you're here with us. If you don't get the weekly articles, please subscribe. Thank you, Jaron. davidafields.com/subscribe. And that way you'll get all sorts of content. That's it. Thank you so much for being here. Have a fabulous week. Remember, consulting is about them. It's about your clients. It's about your prospects. So give them value and give them kindness. And we'll see you next week. Take care.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks.